see in these demonstrations is that we were trying to show that this methodology that Nicole described and the methodology that information system development is used on the steps of requirement elicitations were in fact used in our AP educational projects. So the first project we worked on was a patient registration use case, and that's because at that time when Lee Wise, another co-chair of the EPI group, and myself just got together and thought about what plans for our projects could be in EPI group. Lee suggested to work on patient registration demographic data capture project, and that was the project that Lee Wise, Nicole Miller, and myself worked during our tenure at the American Health Information Management Association, when we collaborated with Integrating Healthcare Enterprise, IHE, when we published this white paper with the workflow and data categories needed to support patient registration process. And we viewed the patient registration process as a standardized approach for patient registration across healthcare facilities, and also aimed to define the set of standardized data elements in patient registration process so that we could properly identify the patient, ensure the completeness, correctness of data that we're collecting, as well as eligibility for services and timely payment for these services. And because our use case was using the EHR to ensure completeness and correctness of that process, so we developed the use case, or we actually took the use case developed by AHIMA members in this white paper that I pointed before. And we just basically said that if we could just take this workflow listed here and associated data categories and apply here the modeling that BPM Plus is allowing, it looks like we could have closer to the representing a particular business process using a modeling standards. And what you can see right now is that for specific data categories, we selected using the fast health interoperability resources that related to the workflow that being described in the use case. And in terms of modeling this process, both the business process as well as data schemas, we just collaborated with Mike Cicina using Visible Analyst as one of the tools where this process can be enabled. So what Mike offered us is to use the planning statements to define the clinical pathways. And those clinical statements were focused on identifying the policies, the participants, and specific business processes, answering the questions of why, who, and what needs to be done in the particular business case. And then we transitioned into how these business processes could be described in the clinical pathways, but also modeled. We also added data template because we believe that in terms of achieving interoperability, such as semantic, technical, and functional interoperability, using the definition of HL7 for interoperability efforts, we just feel that modeling just only workflow is not sufficient. We definitely need to bring the data model templates here as well. And the tool that we used allow us to do that. So what you see here is the planning statements for the description of our clinical pathways for patient registration process. And this is the BPM Plus workflow models that we used to describe the business processes as well as the records that associated with those processes. Moving forward, we just developed the data schemas, data models that are reflective of those data requirements were specified in the use case, and within the tool, we were able to associate them with a particular business rule by each data, by each flow of events. So we continue to use the file resources here, representing the data types in a particular format that file resources enables us to do. And one of the features of that particular tool that we used is that it allows to publish these models, but then also allow the external subject matter experts